Bismillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. So this is the first lecture of teaching Arabic to English speakers using the text of Usool Thalaatha as a reference point and as a red thread or line, so that we have a plan for the development of the language skills, inshallah. We have a target, we have a goal, and we also get the benefits of understanding this fundamental text, inshallah ta'ala, bi'idhnillah. Okay, so today I will just go through the first phrase, let's say, which is Bismillaah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, so basically, Bismillaah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I will write it here. Just gonna check if it is yes. Alhamdulillah. Bismillah. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. All right. And the English translation of this is, of course, in the name of Allah, the most benevolent, Allahu Alam, and the most merciful, I guess. I guess that is the correct translation. I'm not an expert in English, but that is the gist of it. So the first word you can take, and it is actually a bit of a stylized spelling for this word. The actual spelling, or the standard spelling for writing this word outside this context, would be to write like this. Bism. So this little symbol right here is actually a small sad. Sad. It is called in Arabic ra'su sad. Write it. Ra's sad. Right. And it means that this alif here, and the sound of it is not to be pronounced if there is a haraka preceding it. And the haraka is, in this case, these small diacritics, as they are referred to. So, because of the preceding ba here, we do not pronounce this alif right here. And in fact, in this phrase here, the basmala, it is not even written. So bism is actually composed out of two words or units, bi and ism. Ism meaning name, and bi meaning in. And this, and let's see here, we have I will undo this, yeah. So bi, bism, Bismillahi ar-Rahmani ar-Rahim. Okay, so the word for word translation of this is in the name of Allah. I'll just write this using text. Inshallah. The most benevolent, and if it is the most merciful, the most merciful. So this sentence in itself, in the name of Allah, the most benevolent, or the benevolent, the most merciful. This sentence in itself actually has a hidden word, or an implicit word, let's say. Because when you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most benevolent, the most merciful, you actually mean that you are doing something in the name of Allah, the most benevolent, the most merciful. And not only doing it, you are actually starting it, you're commencing the action in the name of Allah, right? So they used to say, the commonly say that I begin is the implicit meaning of this phrase. And not only that, it is sometimes, at least, mentioned that I begin, this word should actually come after, because if you put I begin after, then the in the name of Allah will be first. Then you have actually, like, unequivocally started in the name of Allah. You didn't even say this before in the name of Allah, but you said it, or you implied it afterwards. So the implied word in Arabic is this one, I begin. They say the here we go. Bismillah abtadi'u. And this is mentioned in, generally in the most of the easy and fundamental and simple explanations of the scholars, like in the explanation of Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, for example. So you can refer to that for reference. So abtadi'u, okay, and we can also say that this book is in the name of Allah. Okay, if we say that, then this, like, we can assume, for the sake of education in this lecture, that the implied word is this book. So I'll write here this book. Just for linguistic purposes, of course, what is implied is you take the explanation of the scholars, of course. In this case, the two words are, we mean the same thing, right? So they are equivalent in this case, but linguistically, to get the benefit of the linguistic benefit, and I will use this book. Okay. And this phrase is also mentioned in the Quran, not only in the beginning of the surahs, but also within the Quran in an ayah, innahu min Sulaiman wa innahu bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And this, they say that the book, or the written message, is from Sulaiman, and it is in the name of Allah, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Okay, so this word, just assuming that the implied word is this book, it is not horribly far off. Okay, So if we say that al-kitab is the implied word, because if you read the scholar statements about Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, they would say that, or some of them would say that the implied word actually varies with just a minute. It varies with the action. So if the action is to write, then you say, or you have the intention of, in the name of Allah, the most benevolent, the most merciful, I write. Bismillahi aktub. In the name of Allah, I write this. Bismillahi ajlis. Bismillahi akul. Like in the name of Allah, I will eat this. In the name of Allah, I will sit down. And likewise, in this manner, you extrapolate all the different actions that you do. So Bismillah, Bismillah, I do this, right? And a good general word is the one that the scholars mention, of course, abtadi'u. Okay, this one is this book is specific, and this is what I will use right now. Okay, so I will erase this and just check I had a pin. Oh. I think this is, yeah, the pin is about the lecture. Alhamdulillah. So, al-kitabu Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay. The book is, as you may or may not know, the word is not, it doesn't really exist in the Arabic language. It is called, in the Medina books, it is referred to as the copula, meaning, I guess that it is the connecting word between what you are referring to, as in the book, and what is the piece of information regarding it. So this book is in the name of Allah. So this is the thing that the copula or the is doesn't exist in Arabic. Okay, that's just an aside. That's why you will sometimes notice that someone who is from an Arab country and comes to a country that has the copula or is, for example, an English-speaking country, they will sometimes skip this word. So they would say, for example, not the book is read, they would say the book read, for example, especially if they are very new, right? So the book is in the name of Allah, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Okay, I will tell here that the dhamma here, al-kitabu, it is the default haraka of a word. Okay, default haraka of a word is dhamma. Okay, so this one, which is u. It is u, and actually this symbol right here is actually a small wow, because it is in a sense, you know, like, what can you say, like phonetically it is a small wow. So al-kitabu, it is not u, which is longer, the standard wow is longer, but the small wow, يعني الضمة, is smaller. U, al-kitabu, right? So al-kitabu Bismillahi ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, there's a lot of there's a lot to unpack here. Okay, so bear with me. This lecture might be the most intense of all lectures. Okay, because I mean you can't really just take you know, a word like this, a phrase like this, and just say it is that simple. There is a lot of ground to cover before you can grasp it completely. Okay, but I will mention it, inshallah. It is not, I mean, there will be lots of repetition here as well when we go on, inshallah. So if you panic, then try to at least, inshallah, keep calm until the next lecture, inshallah. You will notice, inshallah, bismillah ta'ala, that we will repeat what has been said in previous lectures. Okay, so bi here, it's not a normal word. It is not like al-kitab, the book, which is, the book is actually it is called a noun in English, and it is something that has a meaning in itself. Which is that if I tell you a book, then you will not say like, it will suffice in itself, it will convey a meaning in itself. It is not like, for example, one could say that you're not waiting for me to complete the sentence. So the meaning in itself, this will become clearer when I explain the second and third class of words. There are three classes. So noun is a meaning in itself, not connected to time. Because a book, then I tell you, well, this is a book. You don't get from that it's a book yesterday, and or that there is a book. The book is something in the future. That would require a more complex sentence, but the book in itself, book, does not have a connotation of time. Okay, not connected to time. And this, actually, both of these are kind of vague, and one could even perhaps think that they seem nonsensical because the book is not connected to time. What's the point? Well, if we have the verb here, which is, for example, I am walking. Walking is a word that has a meaning in itself, and I will get back to that, but it is connected to time. Okay, so a noun is not connected to time only in relation with the verb, because the verb is, right? So if you compare walking and the book, then you can like kind of sense that the word book has no connotation to time, but walking actually is in the present tense, or walked, it is in the past tense, and so on, right? So this is the like main primary difference between these two types of words. And then we have the third class of word, which is a particle, right? It is also not connected to time, but it doesn't have a meaning in itself. It has a meaning outside itself, let's say, and not connected to time. I think, yeah, it's not, inshallah. So this is a case of the particle bi, this one, because in, if I just tell you in, it's not like when I tell you a book. Then you will just tell me like, what about it? Like, yeah, a book, okay. Then, like, what's the point of it? But if I tell you just in, you would be like, in what? Right? So the word in itself does not convey a complete meaning. So the actual, for me, my opinion is that the correct translation of the word in, if we have to be, you know, meticulous about it, it should be 3 dots as well. Like in, So that's the meaning of that. The in conveys a meaning in connection with the word which comes after it, right? So that's one thing. And in this case, what word is connected to this this particle? Well, it is ism, a name. Okay. Just a minute. I will just erase this. Yeah, that's good enough, inshallah. So. So in what? You will ask. And I say, in the name of Allah. Okay? So if we dissect this sentence and this phrase, we can say that, let's see here, the book, okay, we're talking about the book right now, okay, the book is in the name of Allah, okay, so the book is what we are, it is the subject, it is the actual subject of what I'm speaking, like it is the topic. And in fact, it is what I start to mention when I want to inform something about it. This phrase in itself is a piece of information about what? About the book. It is informing us that the book is in the name of Allah, right? Actually written in the name of Allah, but I digress. Okay, so the book is the starting point. The starting point. And this is the actual correct grammatical term in Arabic for this word having this role in a sentence, right? So this is the starting point of the sentence, and then the sentence has a piece of information about this this word, which is the starting point. And what is then the piece of information? Well, it is that it is in the name, sorry, it is in the name of Allah. So if we are supposed to be meticulous, then the piece of information, I'll write it here, piece of information. And by the way, all of this information, more or less, detailed, is contained in the first book of Al-Madinah, inshallah. So inshallah, there is no bid'ah or innovation in here, inshallah. So the piece of information is actually that it is in the name. Okay, it is written in someone's name. Whose name? This name is whose? It is Allah's name. So in this sentence, grammatically, Allah is the possessor of the ism. So there is a relation between these two words, ism and Allah. Ismullah, meaning that the ism is owned, and Allah owns the name. Allah has the name. It is Allah's name. Right? So there is a relation of possession here, that Allah owns the name. Okay, but strictly speaking, what is the piece of information is that it is in the name. Then an added information to that is that it is Allah's name. Okay. So then we have fully covered, inshallah, the word al-kitab. Okay. The starting point, by the way, in Arabic is called mubtada, which comes from the word bidaya. For example, Ibn Kathir's al-bidaya wa nihaya, the beginning. Mubtada. Okay, mubtada. And it is also, this word is also very closely related to the word I wrote around here. If you're watching this recorded, then you can rewind, and you can find the word abtadi'u. I start, I begin, right? So those are very, very closely related. And the piece of information is called the khabar. Right? Khabar. And khabar means piece of information. I mean, literally. So the news is called al-akhbar, which is the plural. So, there we go. Sorry, that's a sloppy alif lam. Al-akhbar, which is the news, right? Why? Because it is information, right? So it all connects together, right? I will do one more thing. I believe I will mention one more thing. I don't want to overwhelm anyone. And this lecture needs to be continued, inshallah, bi'idhna ta'ala, next week, because we're not done. Not by a long shot, inshallah. Either one or perhaps even two more lessons about this phrase, inshallah. So, if we erase these two things, here we go. If we speak about bism, for example, I will just clear out a possible misconception, which is that something that perhaps some non-Arabic speaking people will do, and that is that, like bismillah. It means that this is in the name of Allah, right? Okay, so this is ibadah, right? But if you say, for example, I am writing this paper on the accord of Ahmad, or on the order of, or I am writing this in his name, يعني, meaning that you are writing words like you're being dictated what you're supposed to write, right? Or you have the mandate, you've gotten the mandate to write something in his name, that you write the words, but actually the words will be referred back to him. So he's responsible for what you write. You know, so it could be a purely legal issue, right? So you can write then, or you can say, أنا أكتب باسم أحمد. So this in itself, if you mean it like this in the legal manner or the purely linguistic manner, it is not shirk by any means. You know, it's very normal to say. You know, so bism, it is not. It is plain Arabic. Let's say it is Arabic, which has other uses as well, which is not connected to ibadah and shirk. Okay, this is just a fact. I wanted to mention this. Okay, so just one more thing with regards to in. This is a particle. And it is so it is always written like this, bi. Okay, bi. And you can also call it al-ba, like the ba, like you. This is the name of the letter, al-ba. The b, let's say. Okay, but it always has the kasra, and this kasra is mandatory, right? And the word which comes after here also is supposed to have kasra. So this is like the rule of using this particle. Like if you want to use in, then the next word gets a kasra, right? This is the rule. So for example, it may also mean that not only that you write something in someone's name, like in someone's name, it may also mean that someone is inside somewhere, right? So I can, for example, say, أنا بالمسجد. أنا, meaning I. Here we go. أنا. B. Look, here comes the ba, al-ba, and the kasra here, right? And then I write as normal, al-masjid. Here we go. Masjid. And what is the, as I told you right here, in the case of the book, Dhamma, the small waw, is the default haraka on a word, right? So what is the haraka here? Perhaps someone wants to guess. Just let me find the VC. General VC. Yeah, Anu. Sorry for the. Tell me, Akhi. Or. Hmm. Okay, I will just say it. It should have, just as in the case of bismi, in bismillah, it should have a kasra. So, أنا بالمسجد. يعني am, also here, I am, here comes the copula. I am. It has no corresponding word in Arabic, so I'll just write like this. Doesn't exist. Bil masjid, in. Here we go. The mosque. In the mosque. So if you happen to answer the phone and someone asks you, أين أنت? يعني, where are you? And you happen also to be in the mosque, then what is the reply? أين أنت? And see here, you know, perhaps you've noticed that the question mark is flipped, right? أين أنت? Meaning, where are you? Then you will say, أنا بالمسجد. And this, of course, can be extrapolated to other words, like al-bayt, for example, the house, at home, meaning, you know, أنا بالبيت. And what haraka should be on al-bayt? Kasra as well. أنا بالبيت. أنا بالبيت. But maybe you know or not, then the last haraka of the last letter you pronounce should always be sukoon. And this is something I will conclude with. So here we go. I'll just erase that. And the haraka here, أنا بالمسجد, you normally, unless you want to clarify something, or you need to clarify something, then you should take the last letter of the last, the last haraka, the haraka on the last letter you're pronouncing in the sentence or the phrase should be pronounced as sukoon. And what you say, we say that you always stop on a sukoon. Right? So jazakumullah khairan. This is what I wanted to mention in this lecture. If there are any questions, inshallah, ask them directly, or I will just stop the recording, and you can ask them anytime, even now. So I see some writers. Abdullah Al-Baik is writing. Yeah. So Al-Baik is saying, if we say which masjid specifically, Al-Masjid Al-Haram, is it Al-Masjid Il-Haram? Yes, exactly, correct. Because then you would write here, I will continue with green. It could be anything, you know, Al-Haram, Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, for example. So then you have this small sad again, Ra's sad, which is actually called Hamzatul Wasl. Sorry for not mentioning this. Which means that it is not to be pronounced if there is any haraka preceding it. Okay, so there you have it. You have the kasra. This sukoon was just for temporary purpose when you were stopping at the masjid. So now you have something more succeeding this word, the masjid, and you have to, in that case, reinstate, let's say, the kasra. Ana bil masjidil haram. Right? That's, I hope that answers the question. Abdullah, are we going to do Usool Thalaatha in its whole, or are you going to use that book to teach Arabic but not the whole book? No, the intention, inshallah ta'ala, is to go through the whole book, ta'ala. But Allah knows best if this will, succeed, or if we have to, abort midway. This is just the first word in the book. Would the sentence be the same if you were saying I am in a mosque instead of the mosque? Well, I will show, inshallah. Just a minute. I need to erase some of this. Here we go. So, if you say al-masjid, then that means the mosque, right? As we clarify here, down to the left here. But if you see a mosque, it will only be masjid. This is a very good question, actually, because it clarifies something that I failed to mention. So masjidun, not al-masjidu, which is the default haraka, as I wrote here to the left. This is the default haraka, right? But it got e. Here we go. With masjidun, it is still the default haraka, but it has two. Okay, so if I say like this, the number of harakat is not at all, concerned. It doesn't concern these rules. If I say it has to have a kasra, then the number doesn't change. So masjidun would be what? Be like this. There we go. Be masjidin. Ana bi masjidin. But yeah, this is the rule. I mean, this is basically, inshallah ta'ala, the answer to the question. Ana bi masjidin. But it is kind of, uncommon to express yourself in this way, because you don't normally say this. You say ana bil masjid, it means I am in the mosque. So it means a mosque, right? But you don't normally say a mosque, because that begs the question of, like, okay, what mosque? So as long as you're prepared for that question afterwards, of course you can say it like this, ana bi masjidin. So it will definitely make the person you're talking to a bit curious, like, what is the mosque where you are in, right? So سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Inshallah ta'ala, we will continue in the next lecture. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.